So, apparently there was some drama last month over at Final Fantasy XIV over a very popular mod called Mare Synchronos. Look, I used to play the game, I never modded it before, I knew they existed, but I thought the golden rule was always don't talk about them. But it looks like the mod got a little too big, the dev received a legal inquiry, and eventually it had to be squashed. This caused a group of players to riot, there was a 3-hour interview, and Yoshi-P himself addressed the situation. Now that's the short version of the story, but what's the long version? Was this an overreaction? Spoiler alert, yes, kind of. In order to get the full scope, some context. Also for this video, I'll be swapping between this avatar and my in-game character. For the uninitiated, or if your sole gaming experience is between FIFA, Battlefield, and COD, God bless your soul, Final Fantasy XIV is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, or a MORPG. The main premise of a MORPG is to create a character, complete quests, fight enemies, do raids, fight the big bad, and follow the story. The main purpose though is to have fun, and generally speaking, MORPGs are abundant in content that caters to different playstyles. Naturally, anyone with a smooth brain will conclude that this will attract different people. Some people just simply want to have a chill and relatively stress-free time, so they focus on the socialization aspect of the game, which is sometimes where the word roleplay in MORPG becomes emphasized. Some people, like me, just want to see what's up in the game and try out all the different things the game has to offer and dip. Some people are all about combat, it's pretty self-explanatory. They want to test their skills against the mobs, aiming to get rolled first in a raid or wrecking other players in the battlegrounds. And some people just want to have the most dripped out character. As the saying goes, fashion is the true endgame. When it comes to the mod in question, Mare Synchronos, it was mostly used by some in the role-playing community. Now, role-playing isn't to be confused by the class roles in the game like your tanks, your damage dealers, and healers. Role-playing does include those things, but it goes deeper. People in this community like to create characters with their own personal twists, like their likes, dislikes, backstories, all that good stuff. Think of things like LARPing or Dungeons and Dragons. Now there's a pretty nice write-up on what role-playing in Final Fantasy XIV looks like, which separates players between casual and serious role players. It's a pretty interesting read. I do encourage you guys to read it as it does touch on things like etiquette, so I'll leave a link down below. So, what exactly does Mare Synchronos do? To put it simply, it's a mod that allows players to exchange codes in order for them to see each other's characters in their modded form. That's it. That's all it does. It's not a mod that allows players to cheat, nor is it the mod that allows you to customize your character however you want. Now, initially, Mare Synchronos was supposed to be a way for a small group of friends to share how their characters look. Or if you're part of a free company, which is the equivalent of a guild in World of Warcraft, you could use this as well. But somewhere down the line, something called sync shells were introduced. So now, instead of a closed circle, there is now a gap in said circle where anyone can come in. Think of it this way, the code is the password, and if everyone has the password, connect the dots. However, that doesn't mean that the sync shells were mandatory. You still have the free will to share your code with whoever you want. It just so happens that there are parties where this occurs, for example, venue events. Now, the elephant in the room, the existence of ERP and NSFW mods. I won't get into the details, but there is a fantastic video touching this exact topic by Uboy, so I'll leave a link down in the description. But just know that they do exist, and with the introduction of sync shells, this opens up a can of worms. Mare Synchronos is only one part of the larger role-playing equation. Mare Synchronos plus plus character lore equals enhanced roleplay. Enhanced roleplay does sound a little weird now that I read it out loud, and I don't think it's crazy for me to say that it was definitely used in weird ways. But anyway, if you guessed character customization mods, you are correct. Congratulations, you get nothing. So why would one want to use customization mods? Final Fantasy XIV is pretty big, and it naturally comes with plenty of customization options. Lots of shit in there, weapons, armors, hairstyles, emotes. For a lot of people in the role-playing community, how their character looks is going to enhance their role-playing experience. But there are frustrations some people have with the customization in-game, including but not limited to, and if you've played the game before, let me know some frustrations you yourself have, if you have any. 1. It's very limited / restricting. 2. Some items are not very well designed. 3. Pricing of some items in the online store. And 4. Really, this is the main one over here, They want more control over how their character looks. Let's take number 3 for example. If you want to pull an Ollie London and completely change how your character looks, well, that's $10. Definitely much less than what Ollie London paid, and probably much less embarrassing too. Looking through the story, yeah, the designs are alright. There are some that I do think are pretty neat, but there's not a lot that really stands out. It's just kind of Like, I don't think a lot of players would necessarily go out of their way to purchase a pretty good number of these costumes, you know what I mean? And some of the items are quite pricey. Let's not beat around the bush here. Now, in-game unlocks, there's a lot of them, and some are locked behind side content like endgame raids for example. If you've raided in a morph, you'll know that it takes a lot of coordination, scheduling, and really a lot of commitment to actually get that raid going. But if you manage to complete that raid, you are going to receive some pretty nice looking gear. Another example, relic weapons. Lots of grinding involved with unlocking relic weapons just for cosmetic, and there's a lot of repetition. You can say whatever you want, but to a lot of people, Final Fantasy XIV is a pretty fairly grindy game, and it's not necessarily what everyone is looking for. If you're playing the game and you only want to focus on the social aspect, things like raiding, repetitive tasks, daily quests, and RNG drop rates might not be high up on your priority list. Next, one of the biggest criminals in my opinion and personal vendetta mark, the absolute dog shit transmog system, and its vessel, the Glamour Dresser. Oh, but it's just a cute piece of furniture that lets you change the way your clothes look. What's so bad about it? My friend, do not be deceived. Take a seat, look at that dresser, and imprint into your mind that this furniture is one of the biggest villains of customization in game. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a bit. It's not bad, but let's just say that World of Warcraft's transmog system is much more streamlined. Just to put it very simply, as long as you pick up a piece of armor or weapon and bind it to your character in World of Warcraft, you unlock that item's appearance for all your characters across your account. It doesn't work like that in Final Fantasy XIV. If you want to unlock an item's appearance, you need to put it inside the Glamour Dresser. That, or you sacrifice what little inventory space is available on your character holding that item, just for its appearance. For brevity's sake, let's just leave it at that. And finally, the character creator. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's just mid. But you have to remember, Final Fantasy XIV is a pretty old game, and for modern standards, the character creator can seem a little underwhelming. Don't jump out of your chair for this one, but horns, you cannot edit the horns. Yes, they are face preset specific. Now with modding though, you don't have to deal with any of that shit. All the clothes you want, hairstyles, emotes, body configurations, right at your fingertips, and you can change them at will anytime you want. You are free, Dobby. Eorzea is your personal catwalk. What? Pair customization mods with Mare Synchronos, and you have the perfect way to roleplay in Final Fantasy XIV. Or so that's what some people in the roleplay community say, but I am inclined to disagree. And if Mare Synchronos wasn't the mod that visually alters characters, why was it snapped? So, two things, Mare Synchronos getting the axe and why I disagree with the opinion that mods are necessary to roleplay. Now, why do I have that stance? For one, my playstyle. When it comes to unique items, I've always been in the camp of if you want an item in the game and it's a challenge to obtain, you have to earn it. That way, you can wear it with pride, knowing you completed those challenges and now you can peacock it around the Limsa Lominsa. And if we're going with the roleplay route, I personally feel like if you wanted to unlock an item's appearance, it could be a great roleplay opportunity to gather a group of adventurers and work together to get that item's appearance. Have a story attached to it or something, I don't know. But that's not me trying to impose my playstyle onto others, that's just me stating how I personally feel about unlocking items. If you feel like you need mods to have a better experience, that's your way of having fun. That's completely fine, go ahead. I cannot dictate how you experience joy in this world. And I do agree, there are some mods that can make a game's experience much better, like quality of life mods. I'm looking at you, Ark. Secondly, probably the most important, is because role-playing has been around for a long time, way before Mare Synchronos and mods were even a thing. Just because it got axed doesn't mean it's the end of the role-playing scene, as some angry people online would try to have you believe. And look, they have every right to be angry. I'm not saying that they don't. It doesn't feel great when your source of fun is taken away. And look, bright side, if you quit because Mare Synchronos got axed, Bye Felicia, you've practically saved yourself from paying a monthly sub. Now, I personally may not be a part of the role-playing community, but I do watch Critical Role and Dimension 20 from time to time.
Liam, someone you love very much is about to die.
From what I've gathered from watching those shows, to me, role-playing just for the visuals, there's nothing wrong with it, okay? But it is a very surface level thing to quit a game over. Role-playing is so much more than visuals. There are whole backstories everyone creates for their character, codes of conduct, interactions between people in game, hell, even overarching server-wide plot lines and events everyone gets to partake in. The whole point in role-playing is the social aspect of it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's such a fascinating community to read up on. Yes, being able to see how people have modded their characters can enhance the roleplay experience, but it's only one part of the equation, and even without Mare Synchronos, people can still join Discord servers and share screenshots of how their character looks. Even then, there are still people who roleplay without mods and still manage to have a fun time. But if you can't stand being unable to have a hot Mikote cat girl twerking on you with their fat booty cheeks, no one really knows why Mare Synchronos was shut down except for the dev and Square Enix. All we know from the interview Xenosys had with the dev was that he received a legal inquiry. I'll leave a link to the interview down below if you guys want to watch it. He didn't go into details because this is a legal issue and he was advised not to talk about specifics, which is completely understandable. All the theories floating around as to why are just that. Theories, and he's fully aware that trying to win against the internet logic is an uphill battle, and has accepted that people will believe what they want to believe. What we do know is that he truly cared about the mod and only wanted to provide a good mod and service. But now that it's been squashed, he has resolved to not develop anything else in terms of a second Mare Synchronos. Ultimately, he is completely done with it. And I'm sorry to disappoint, but as much of a chismoso as I am, I won't feed into the speculation. There's a lot of floating around already. Now, what does Square Enix say about mods? Well, the answer cannot be provided by a better person than Yoshi-P himself. I'm not gonna read the letter though, I'm sorry, it's a little lengthy and this video is already long as it is. I'm not adding another 10 minutes of me just reading the statement, and he did say a link to the comment instead of picking excerpts. He does raise a lot of very valid points that are quite difficult to argue against, not gonna lie. Read it on your own or have text-to-speech read it for you. But I will show what the TOS says. I think everyone should know by now that the answer is they don't allow them. It says it clearly over here, quote, accordingly, the following activities are prohibited: modifying, analyzing, integrating, and or reverse engineering game software or data, creating, distributing, using, or promoting utilities that interact with the game, and by extension under the real money trading, quote, some third-party programs contain viruses and spyware that can harm players. This can lead to unauthorized disclosure of users' personal data, character deletion, identity theft, and other unfortunate circumstances. So by Square Enix's legal team's standards, Mare Synchronos fell under one of these categories and they didn't want to have to deal with the legal headache. But we all know by nature as humans, if people think they can get away with it, they'll do it anyway. Square Enix does know mods exist and do in fact tolerate their existence, and as far as I understand it, mods have been around for quite a while. Two things I will mention though. One, the existence of paid mods, which is a whole legal can of worms, but they do exist and people do pay for them. I've seen some mods matching the price, even exceeding some of the items in the online store. $43? Are you fucking kidding me for a mod? And look, I'm all for supporting artists and supporting people who are doing work for the modding community. Paid mods seem like it's really pushing it, but you guys come to your own conclusions. And two, while Mare Synchronos may have met its demise, modding is a bit of a hydra. Cut one head off, two more will pop up. Now, according to the dev of Mare Synchronos, there were already forks of the mod available while it was still up, but he himself does not endorse them and is not in any way affiliated with them. He's also urged for people to not jump on the next big thing closest to Mare and to give the whole thing some time, which is something that I do also urge as someone who occasionally mods other games. Be very careful when you are modding. You never know if you're gonna stumble upon a mod made by a dev with ill intent. Now, this This whole incident and the role-playing community has been so fascinating to read up on. So much so that I actually resubbed to Final Fantasy XIV just to see what's new. Sad to see that it's a lot emptier than when I last played, which was about 4 years ago, but that is the nature of any MMORPG. But yeah, anyway, that's it for the video. I will see you all soon. Now, I don't mean to brag, but I did finish all the Claire Obscure Gestural Beach challenges, so this is probably going to be easy. Yeah, like I said, easy.